Welcome to my Wakanda Forever review with spoilers. A quick recap. We see the day of T'Challa's death with Shuri trying to find a cure to his ailment unsuccessfully, followed by the mourning ceremony for T'Challa. A year later, one of Wakanda's international bases is attacked and defended by the Dora Milaje, with Queen Ramonda placing everyone at the United Nations meeting on notice to warn them about attacking Wakanda in the pursuit of vibranium. During one of their searches for vibranium, which they find in the ocean, they unintentionally provoke a new tribe of people that come aboard and take out all the Americans. Naturally, the Americans blame Wakandans for the attack. As Ramonda is trying to convince Shuri to perform a certain ritual involving burning the mourning clothes, a dude named Namor shows up, demanding Wakanda find the scientist who built the vibranium detector that the U.S. officials were using when they came on his turf to steal his vibranium. As Okoye takes Shuri to find the scientist, it turns out that the aspiring scientist is actually a college student who made the vibranium detector for a college project. Because the Americans was watching the college student, they came trying to take Shuri and Okoye down with a raggedy warrant to retrieve Williams, but they have something for them and don't go down easily, except for when Namor's people roll up on their whale and attack to take out the scientist. Despite Okoye's brave attempt to fight them by herself, she fails to take them down successfully and is kicked out of the Dora Milaje upon her return to Wakanda. Namor and Shuri have a heart-to-heart, and he tries to explain why he wants to take out the scientist in the name of protecting his people, because Namor loves his people. He really believes it's the right thing to do, taking one person out to save many. And during their negotiations, Namor eventually caves into admitting that he simply wants Wakanda to help his people take over the surface world and take out other nations, and he gives the offer to join or die. Meanwhile, Queen Ramonda recruits Nakia to retrieve Shuri and Williams. As Queen Ramonda distracts him, he warned her about coming for Shuri. As promised, he rolls up to their home, floods the capital, and sets it up for Queen Ramonda to drown. With newfound encouragement and reason to, Shuri creates the artificial herb using an ingredient from the gift Namor gave her during her detainment with him. She goes to the ancestral plane and gains the power of the Black Panther. Shuri and her people lure Namor and his people out to Wakanda and Talokan to battle it out. Shuri fights Namor and has every intention to dispose of him. However, her mother steps into the equation, stopping her from ending him. She decides to do something he didn't do, gives him a choice, with their two nations just being at peace with one another, without the need to take over the surface world together. They make an agreement. After this, Williams gets to return home. Despite recent losses, Shuri finds a sense of calm and comes to terms with her brother's death, burning the mourning clothes from T'Challa's ceremony, discovering Nakia and T'Challa's hidden child. T'Challa Jr., look at him. Oh. Now, to my review. I want to start with the indigenous people. I want to mention that, how they were so popping. They moved so fast. Like, look at this. Oh, so wonderful. Honestly, Namor wasn't blindly evil. It's not like he didn't have his reasons for who he was. The world made him that way. His circumstances, just like Killmonger. Now, Killmonger became who he was because of T'Chaka's decision, because of the murdering of his father, set him on a path of revenge, same as Namor. He wanted revenge for what people had did to his land and what people of the current were doing to his land. Not only his ancestral land, but his oceans as well, poisoning them to current, trying to steal vibranium that they intend to use to harm people, not help. That was the thing about Namor's nation. They had stayed to themselves for centuries, but once the people start coming on their turf, it became an issue. Namor was very, very old. Join me or you're an enemy. He thought of this like that. In Namor's eyes, he was on the side of righteousness, of justice. He's like, let's take out the governments of the world that are acting like threats to us anyway, that want to steal from us, that have only harmed us, only harmed our people, harmed people like us. Let's take them out. Obviously, the governments can twist the narrative of to say who's right and who's wrong, pose them as the villains. Then you're going to have to harm innocent people that don't know what they're fighting for. Yes, there are corrupt governments of many countries, but there needs to be the say of the people and how they want their government changed, not having another person of power coming and just dictating again, because that's no different. These two nations didn't need to fight against each other, but Shuri's all about defense. She's not the type to go on offense. Namor came to their domain first. He came to threaten first. Everything she did, in my eyes, was self-defense, and she messed him up good. I almost forgot about the part when she crossed her arms and it burned him up. Oh, it was wonderful. I was like, yes, win. Even though we understand why he's like that, at the same time, it's not okay at all. He was out of line and he kept giving instructions, and that was his bad. He made the mistake even when he approached them. Oh, hey, you put this in the water and call for me. They weren't even given the opportunity to call for him. People just came, and when he had just taken out Queen Ramonda, he was trying to say, oh, now you're queen. It's like, excuse me? You are the enemy now. Who are you instructing? And I noticed Shuri didn't to even do that. She didn't take over as queen. She stayed as a princess as Mbaku came to challenge for the throne, which is why I think there's going to be more Black Panthers. Actually, whoever rules Wakanda has to take the heart-shaped herb. Shuri may be Black Panther, but understand there's a need now for a new type of structure for Wakanda. That's the thing. There could be any threats, not just from the surface world, because we had a whole Thanos. Anything can come from the sky and try to start stuff, so there's a need for multiple Black Panthers. And that's also what I wanted to mention. I found it ridiculous. The U.S. boat was attacked, that everyone kept thinking it was the Wakandans. You had a whole thing of aliens that came to New York. You had a whole Thanos. There's so many things that exist in the Marvel universe, as if you didn't have a whole claw that tried to steal vibranium every chance he could. There could be other people like him who are trying to find vibranium too. A rival competitor, a rival country, but you immediately think Wakanda, when the other countries were the ones that always have taken the offensive position with Wakanda, have always asked Wakanda for something, and now you assuming they sunk to your level and are attacking you at random over some vibranium? Oh yes, they must be at fault. Really? No extraterrestrials? It has to be Wakandans? Alright. One thing I want to mention is the scene with Okoye and Queen Ramonda. When Okoye tries to convince Queen Ramonda to let her go get Shuri, let her redeem herself, say what she's invested, say what she's done. However, Queen Ramonda goes ham. She doesn't hold back. Basically gets everything she's ever wanted to say off her chest. Ramonda let it be known.
Have I not given everything?
Yes, you have, Queen. Yes, you have. She's like, you had one thing to do. Said what you couldn't do, and then you messed that up. And this is not the first time you've messed up, so I gotta let you go. The Queen Ramonda, she didn't mope around. She handled business, and she recruited Nakia. Nakia was so quick with it. She was a little bit hesitant first, because she said it's been a while. Got her sons on. Did it with boldness. Yes. Saved her like it was nothing. Went around, infiltrated, talked to the locals, found the location, dived in there, swam like it was the thing to do. Took out whoever she needed to succeed in her mission. Then we have Mbaku. Mbaku held his own in this movie. Love winstonduke in here. He brought it once again. His character was a huge presence. He was there. Even when Queen Ramonda was alive, he was there. Despite T'Challa was gone, despite that he is in charge of the Jabari tribe, he didn't owe them anything. He was to stand with them because it was the right thing to do. Because he was the son of Wakanda. He brought his own military to help them. He let them stay with them after the capital was flooded. Not hesitate. Encouraged her, especially after her mother was gone. He encouraged her. He was there for her, gave her soothing words, asked her to think longevity, consider things carefully, think about what the queen would want. We saw how his own men were there, holding strong, having the sisters' backs, holding it down as they go and soar and handle business. Yes, equal footing. This was supposed to be depicting them getting everything in order in just a short time span. This was only a short time after Namor had attacked. They had these new suits that she altered, got the power of the Black Panther, set up this huge ship that surprisingly only had one sonic thing at the bottom. Understandable short time frame. But there was all these things that they did to take care of business. Even Ironheart was rocking a new suit. And the Riri Williams character was just so cool. Ironheart, way better than Iron Man in my opinion, because in all honesty, she hasn't done anything yet that's on the level of Tony Stark mess ups. In addition, she wasn't born with money to be able to expand her horizons, train her genius. That was just something she had to choose to do. She had to build things from scraps and junk. Tony, he was able to do this too, but at the same time he was able to know how to do that based on his past experience, based on his education. I'm sure had helped him to get where he was. Ironheart's different. Her whole story is different. She hasn't done anything. She hasn't made an Ultron, none of that. She making a vibranium detector that was given to the government without her consent doesn't count because she didn't know or willfully gave it away. It was meant to just be a project, like a show and tell, not to be actually used. She was cool. Shuri had the most character development in here. She was in a certain energy that she wanted to burn everything around her. It shows that there's fire in the ancestral plane she went to. When she talked to Killmonger, I was very surprised to see them, but I enjoyed the fact that because she didn't believe in the ancestral plane, she wasn't forced to talk to any ancestors that did believe in it. She at least expected, if it's real, it's real. Then I'm going to see my mother or my brother. She didn't take the herb just to see them. She had taken the herb because she wanted the power of the Black Panther. She didn't care what she had to do to get it. Killmonger told Shuri how you're like me. You want to get things done. You want to take out Namor. Killmonger never really said if he would have joined Namor or not. Technically, he was going to do what Namor already wanted to do. Namor wouldn't have had to ask Wakanda if Killmonger was allowed to do what he wanted. He would have been able to take over the world. In a way, Namor would have never had to come to Wakanda because Killmonger would have done exactly what Namor had planned. When Killmonger was like, are you going to be like your brother? Are you going to be like me? It's more like she didn't choose either. That she passed the two Black Panther suits, her father's and her brother's. She's not going to be either of those. I'm going to be me. I'm not like T'Challa. I don't hesitate to take an enemy out. Also, she's not going to think of only what she wants like Killmonger did. She was choosing to be her own person. That Shuri didn't believe in the ancestral plane, didn't have any faith in it. She had faith, love in her mother, and that was really beautiful. It showed that her mother was the only one she would listen to if she came to her and say, hey, stop. Came to her and whispered to her so gently, saying, show him who you are. Who are you as a person? Are you someone that blindly takes vengeance on someone who you know his people don't deserve punishment for what he's choosing to do? Namor's people, they're only doing this because he instructed them to. They're not doing it because they want to necessarily. Each and every person wants to. It's because he's choosing this as a leader. Same with Shuri. It doesn't matter if anyone wants to fight. Mbaku, he didn't really want to fight. He didn't want to destroy them. Shuri flexed her power to instruct him and get him to do what she wanted. He decided if he chose to yield, then she would spare him. It's not for him. It's for his people. She would protect his people. No, it's for her own to make sure no lives are lost. Namor even mentions how one day Wakanda might need Talakan. So it's also keeping her options open. From the beginning, I didn't really want her people and Namor's people to be at war with one another. I understood it. I understood why. I understood if she needed to take him out, I'm like, go for it. Ryan Coogler did this. He did this. He outdid himself. Did everything in his power to acknowledge Chadwick and to honor Chadwick and honor his character. I was impressed and turned out wonderful. There is an indication that there will be another male Black Panther, as I'm sure many people were raving about of how they wanted another male Black Panther, and they said there's a potential for that. The comics, from what I've heard down the grapevine, she is quite ruthless in the comic books, which we saw that she had the potential to be in here. Yet, I think she's going to tone that down maybe, or maybe it's going to show her going all out. Obviously, there might be a time jump forward that we see since we are giving the promise of a male Black Panther with T'Challa's son, T'Challa Jr. Oh, those adorable little children, seeing the next generation, seeing the future, and the future is bright. Look at it. There's a promise of seeing this character one day all grown up. This movie was quite anointed. I enjoyed the women empowerment. I enjoyed it so much. Even this character, Namor's cousin, she was doing it. She was committed. She was fully able and willing to do whatever she needed to do to follow her cousin's instructions and take down the enemy, no matter who the enemy was. I respected how they wrote that even though Queen Ramonda was gone, and even though Okoye helped with the fight against Namor, the fact is they did not really reinstate her to the Dora Milaje, because that was the last official decision Queen Ramonda made. And I really like the suits that Okoye and Aneka was wearing. And Aneka really brought it. I recognized this actress and she was wonderful in here. Like top service, all the women here. Loved it. Loved how the men supported the women in this movie. And it was more focused on the women's point of view than anything else. Women showing their strength, showing how even if someone comes for us, we are able to handle business. Like the overall atmosphere and aurora that this brings, the Afro-futuristic quality to it that's so beautiful and promising. Glorious movie, glorious. And that's just my take on it, but feel free to leave comments about your own perception of this movie and how you felt about it. That's all for today. Stay tuned.